Hey everyone, so I'll be going over my automated bee production system, and I'll be going through all the different components and pieces and machine systems that I've put together to automate the whole process. So stick around, I hope you enjoy it. So first I want to go over how the whole system is laid out. It's broken up into three different sections, and their scale is proportional to like a pyramid. On the top you have the finishing section, and then in the middle you have production, and then the bottom support. So for the finishing section, this is where you're taking the combs that are coming out of the bees, you're centrifuging them, and then you're combining the piles together, and then you're doing the final processes like centrifuging the iridium out of the platinum, compressing the iridium, or in the case of chrome, you are electrolyzing the ruby dust. The production is where the bees actually are. So in that you have your alvearies, and all the different types of bees that you want to produce. This is where the frames come into play, and that whole system. And then underneath it you have support, and the support system has to be larger than everything else in the pyramid because of the way that the whole system scales. And down here, this is where we're producing wood, where we're producing seed oil, we have frame production, we have dirt production, fertilizer production, power production, and then there's some additional systems that are tacked onto it, such as scented paneling production, impregnated casing production, and industrial TNT production. So first off, I want to go over my bee setup a little bit. I have 27 running alvearies at the moment. There are more down there, but they're not in operation. And each alveary has 5 frame housings in it. And the reason for that is that according to Hypnozoid in his video, a research video that he did about how many frame housings you can put into an alveary and get the most efficient output, he found that somewhere between 5 and 6 frames is the optimal amount of frames to put in an alveary. Any more than 6 and you're not going to get a production boost. So for me, I have 5 in all of these different alvearies, and for that I need to be able to produce the frames. And so there are 3 different types of frames that you can use. There's untreated frames, impregnated frames, and proven frames, and those are the ones that just give production boost. And the thing about them is that all 3 give 100% production boost. The only difference is the amount of time that they last. So the untreated frame lasts 80 seconds, the impregnated frame lasts 240 seconds, and the proven frame lasts 720 seconds. But proven frames can only be purchased or traded from villagers. So the frame that I'm using are impregnated frames. And just to kind of give you an idea of scale of the amount of frames that I need to produce for that many alvearies, when it comes to the frame recipe, you need 8 impregnated sticks for each frame. So if we look up the recipe, you need 8 impregnated sticks for each frame with 1 string. But then to make an impregnated stick, you have to put it in a carpenter, and it takes 2 logs and you get 2 sticks. So for each log, you get 1 impregnated stick. So since I have 27 alvearies with 5 frames each, that means that I need 135 frames to run my system, and I need 135 frames produced every 240 seconds. So that is quite a lot of production, and so then I need a large support system to be able to support that. And then to break it down a little further, that's 8 sticks for every 135 frames, so I need to be producing 1,080 sticks every 240 seconds. So it doesn't matter what kind of bee you put in here, any of them will work as long as they work in the biome. For example, like the gunpowder producing bee will only produce gunpowder if it's in a desert biome. And then to produce the wood and seed oil, I have a couple different systems here, and the string. So first off, if we go down here, this is my pumpkin patch. And all of the pumpkins are grown on zirconium soil. And what zirconium soil does is that it speeds up the output that the pumpkins can put, or the pumpkins grow. And they're too deep, so you can stack as many of them as you want down, and it will there's an infinite number of how fast it'll go. Right now this chest is full. Let me make a little bit of space. And the reason that I chose pumpkins as opposed to melons or flax or wheat is the fact that a pumpkin, every time you put it into a crafting table, you will always get 4 pumpkin seeds out. When I tried melon seeds, I would get 3 slices of melon, and each slice would give me one seed. So I was getting 3 seeds from a melon. And then when I tried a wheat farm, it was variable. Sometimes I wouldn't get any seeds, sometimes I'd get 1 seed, sometimes I'd get 2 seeds. So I needed a very consistent rate of which I could get seeds. But what I found out was that a pumpkin patch, even as supercharged as this one, it grows so fast that a single straw golem can't pick them all in time. But what I found out was that all the seed oil that I could produce from this still wasn't enough to generate the frames that I needed, so I needed to come up with a boost. And so what I did for that was I installed a multi-farm orchard with 4 chestnut trees. And chestnut trees have the highest production of seed oil per seed. And what I put it on was the second to largest size multi-housing farm. So it's a 4x4x4. And the reason I went with a 4x4x4 as opposed to a 5x5x4, which is the largest one you can get, is because these trees are so massive that even if I put a couple extra blocks around the outside, I still wouldn't be able to fit another tree in. And the cool thing about having a 4x4x4 is that that is exactly 1 stack of multi-farm blocks. So it just kind of was an easy round number to use. And then over here, I have my wood farm. And so initially I started out with 2 multi-farms, and these are the 5x5x4, the biggest you can get. And I originally did all oak trees in both of them. And I was finding that with the oak trees, it still couldn't produce wood fast enough for my system. So I had to switch over to fir trees, and I highly recommend fir trees or redwood trees or something like that, because the amount of wood you get per the amount of humus that's used up is, or humus that's used up is huge, because you get all that wood for the whole tree for just 4 humus. So right now, 1 tree farm is able to, with using fir saplings, is able to keep up with production for the whole system. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to show the frame producing system. Oh, one other thing I want to show while I'm up here is I have 1 straw golem and 2 wooden golems picking up all these fields. The wooden golems have perception charges on their cores so that they can see the whole field. And up here I have 2 emerald pipes with autarkic iron gates, which I'll show what that's connected to down below, with red pipe signal. And so basically one of them pulls out pumpkins only, and then the other one pulls out string and flax only. So this lets me pull as I need them, the resources as I need them from the chest. So if we go downstairs, I will show you my frame producing unit. Now, one of the things that I like to use are routers, and I find that they are really, really useful for pretty much everything. They can make things significantly more compact. So this is my frame producing system, everything from that crafting table to the wall. And the way that it works is very simple. Its basic concept is very simple. It's the control systems that make it a little more complicated. But it's laid out in a way that it is easily expendable or extendable. And because the routers don't require pipes, they only, as long as inventories are attached to each other, they can route between any attached inventory. So I can just expand and expand and expand and expand, and not have to worry about it. I only need the 2 routers. So first things first, these are my squeezers, and this is the same kind of setup that you'd use for making the sticks anyway. I have 4 squeezers that are making seed oil, and the seed oil is then being pumped into 2 carpenters. The way that I have the pipes laid out underneath here are pretty cool. On one side, I have the seed oil running, and then on the other side I have the power running. So by doing it that way, I can continue to extend these machines as far as I want. So for example, if I'm producing I need more frames than this machine is able to produce at the moment, then all I have to do is I can throw down 4 more squeezers here, and then the power, and then run the power up the other side, and then just attach the pipes down below for the seed oil, and everything's peachy. And same with the carpenters. If I want to, I can add more carpenters out here, and then just add the seed oil and the power, and the routers will reach them as long as they are touching each other. Like these 4 are touching, so these 2 routers are able to access all 4 machines. So to talk a little bit more about the squeezing system, one comment that I forgot about the seed oil is that the pumpkin patch on its own isn't quite enough to run it. So I have to use the chestnuts and the pumpkins, and then they pick up the slack for each other, and it lets me keeps the system operating. So first things first, on this side, this is the pipe coming down from the chest upstairs that the golems are putting the pumpkins and stuff into. And so here is the buffer chest that the pumpkins sit in, an auto crafting table that converts them to seeds, and this is pulled out by a autarkic iron AND gate. And then when it gets pulled out, it goes into this relay, which acts as the buffer for the seed oil part of the system. And then I have 2 checks set up to keep the system from overflowing. I have a iron AND gate right here that says if there are items in the buffer inventory, then I want you to emit a red pipe signal. And then also if there are items in the inventory, I want you to emit a red stone signal. And so when if I get a red pipe signal on this line here, then it will shut off the pulling in pumpkins, and it will also reach up top and shut off the autarkic gate, pulling the pumpkins out of the chest. And then this guy over here is my seed oil check. So this says if the tank is full, then emit a red pipe signal. So if this squeezer is full of seed oil, then it will stop the autarkic gates too. So this is kind of an OR system built out of gates. And so this tesseract up here, I have walnuts here, but it's really chestnuts, is pulling transporting the chestnuts over from the farm, and then it also goes into the relay. And the reason that this gate right here has a redstone signal as well as a red pipe signal is that I have a wireless transmitter over here, and this wireless transmitter transmits to the chestnut farm, or the chestnut orchard, and will shut it off as well, the same way that I'm shutting off the pumpkins upstairs. Now one thing to note about the chestnuts, when they're squeezed, they make mulch. And I have tons and tons and tons of mulch, so I don't need any more. So I'm using this router to extract the mulch from any adjacent inventory, and then I just pipe it out and void it, because I don't need it. So to go over what the router upgrades are, this guy right here is inserting into the north side, so it's picking the north side. That's the blue side, so that's green, green, yellow, blue. So it's inserting into this side of the squeezers. It doesn't really matter what side you insert into as long as it's inserting from a side, and I just do that for consistency's sake. And then it has a machine filter upgrade so that it can, or a machine upgrade so it can see the squeezers. And then it has a speed boost upgrade so that it doesn't have a delay when visiting the machines, so it operates much faster. And then it has a bandwidth upgrade, which allows it to move stacks at a time. And that's it for this guy. And so this one router is able to access any adjoining machines. Now one other comment is if I were to put 4 more here, their inventories wouldn't actually be touching because there's wires in the way. And so what I would do is I would throw down probably just regular cobble furnaces, because as long as because they have internal inventories, so have an kind of like a wire of cobble furnaces going across and touching, and so then it will keep them all going. Same for this side. And then so this router over here extracts from the top sides, so the top sides of the squeezers. So I have a machine filter or machine upgrade, so it sees the squeezers, and then what it does is I have it set to eject to the bottom, but since it doesn't have anywhere to eject to, the mulch will just sit in this inventory slot. Because one thing to note is routers can only handle one item at a time, like that mulch that was just there. And so then the mulch just gets pulled out and voided. For the carpenter side of things, it's the same idea. Over here I have a buffer. I'm using a hopper instead of a relay, and the only reason I'm using a hopper is because that's what I had at the time that I built this. And what this does is this tesseract is pulling wood from the wood farm, and it inserts the wood into this router, and then the router distributes the wood throughout these two carpenters, and then the carpenters produce the impregnated sticks. And my checks to keep the wood from overflowing and bouncing all over the place is I have this. This is just a regular gate, and it says if there are items in this inventory, emit a redstone signal. So it's the same as that gate over there. So if I have a backlog, like I do right here, of a couple items, it emits a redstone signal, which activates these two wireless transmitters. One of them shuts off the wood farm, and the other one, I forget what it does. I'll find it when we go through the system. Yeah. And anyway, so this router is set to insert into the south sides instead of the north. It doesn't matter as long as it's a side. With a machine upgrade, and that's it. That's all it has to do. And then this router over here, its whole job is to extract, and I have it extracting from slot 1 with a machine upgrade, and then it ejects to the east, and so the east is this side, so it's ejecting into this chest. So this guy has a machine upgrade and an ejector upgrade. And so here is my stick buffer chest. So as you can see, my system right now, as is, still has the capability of producing way more frames than that I'm using at the moment. And then for the string, I have that flax farm upstairs. And so down here, I have a iron AND gate, which says if there's space in the inventory, emit a red pipe signal, which then goes up, turns on the autarkic gate upstairs, and pulls down string. And I have it pulling down string and flax, and then at the moment, I'm just voiding the flax seeds. But if I start running low and I need more seed oil, I can change things a little bit and then pipe the flax into this junction and send it into this relay where it'll be distributed throughout the squeezers. But at the moment, I don't need to. So this is my my string. At the moment, it's a little low, but it will balance itself back out. Like here comes a couple more. And both of these act as buffer inventories for this fabricator. And the cool thing about a fabricator is that you can put in a phantom inventory here. So these aren't actual real items, they're just copies of them. And then it builds a recipe. And then it has an internal buffer inventory. And the cool thing about fabricators is that they can pull from adjacent inventories. So I just keep my string here, keep my sticks here, and it will just make impregnated frames all day and all night as long as these guys are full. And it will keep 9 of them in here as long as the redstone signal is set to low. And then so this guy is a clay golem, and you can see right there he just pulled out some frames. And then what he does is he pulls the frames out of the fabricator and sticks them into a tesseract. And the whole purpose of that, the reason I'm using him as opposed to, say, an autarkic iron gate, is that he is much faster than an autarkic iron AND gate. And the other thing is that he won't drop items on the ground. Like if I took an autarkic iron AND gate and set it to max speed as opposed to having it check if the pipe is empty and then emit, it will drop a couple extra items on the ground. I don't want to waste any frames. He will never drop an item, and he goes very quickly. And as opposed to a manager, he doesn't keep a backlog inventory, which is really, really nice. And so as he is pulling out the frames, the fabricator pulls from the buffer chest and makes more, and then he drops them into this frame tesseract. And then the frame tesseract is upstairs, and the tesseract ejects into a router, which has a machine upgrade, which I'll run upstairs and show you that really fast. So if we go over here, here's my router, and what it does is it inserts into the top sides of tile extra B alveoli. So all of these alveoles are actually touching each other with a cobblestone furnace down below, and then this guy pumps the frames into it, and then so this one router distributes frames through all of my alveoles. And so yeah, I have to renew all of the frames in all the alveoles every 240 seconds, which is a little crazy. So that's this system. So if we were to follow the transmitted signal, for example, for this guy right here, number 4, that goes over to the seed oil production. So that's over here. And here's my multi-farm. This guy is set to orchard, and he has fertilizer, and an aqueous accumulator is pulling water in through a valve block. This right here is an energy tesseract pulling from my boilers and going in through a gear block. And then I have 2 hatch blocks. This one right here pulls out the seeds and puts them into the tesseract, and it will do it automatically. It doesn't need a gate. This hatch right here is set up for my automated fertilizer production, and so if the fertilizer is below 25%, then it will, it'll pull out some fertilizer. And then this right here is the control block, and the interesting thing about the control block is that if you emit a redstone signal to it, then it will shut off the farm. But the redstone control block is directional. So if you emit a redstone signal from the north, south, east, and west sides of this block, then it will affect the north, south, east, and west quadrants of the farm accordingly. But if you put the signal in from the top or the bottom, then it affects all 4 of them. So that's pretty cool. Then if we go back over here and we look at these signals. Oh, I remember what the other signal is. So one signal shuts off the wood production at the farm, and then I have a buffer wood barrel set up back at my main base, going through my storage system. And so that buffer barrel has a gate that pulls items out and then puts them into the tesseract. So this gate shuts off both the wood production and pulling wood from wood storage. So if we go through this door here, these are my wood farms. And this one right here is the fir sapling farm, and it's the same system. It has a gear for the power output. This one you need to have a gate on it. Aqueous accumulator putting in water, the control block from below, but this one also requires dirt to run, where the orchards don't. So I have automated dirt production set up here, so that if this chest gets if it gets empty in here, if it goes below 128 soil, then it will pull out more dirt, and then the automated dirt production will kick in and refill the chest. And then this right here, this is a poor man's pipe wire. This was before I had the iron gates. And then over here is another hatch for the fertilizer. So it's the same system. And then it gets pulled out and then goes through my sorting system back at home, and then gets used in this system. So that's my automated frame production, and then the 2 other things. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this is helpful. And I will be showing off more systems that I have here, like the automated soil, automated fertilizer, and the other things that you saw in the pyramid from before. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope this helps. Thanks very much. Bye.